Welcome, everybody, to Strange Theory. String Theory. It's a Wednesday night. I'm coming to you live from Schenectady, New York. They have beer here. Yes, sir. Schenectady, New York. It's a Wednesday night. I'm with you. I'm waiting on, well, we're going to do a Capo Corner and tell you what all I'm waiting on. Anyhow, there's enough of Kenny Baker for you. Probably get demonetized for that, but what the hell. I love Kenny. Let's call in the lovely Ginger, who I have to call on the phone. And we're just going to do things. Turn on our Bluetooth. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to call the lovely Ginger. She will be speaking to us on the phone. There's the phone ringing. I'm having a hard time with cell service here lately. Hopefully this will be all right. Maybe she's not going to answer us. What the? Oh. What the hell?
Sorry, Churchy knocked on the door right as you called. It was not good timing. Hang on.
Visitors at the house. We don't let them in the studio normally, so, you know. Okay. Anyhow.
Yeah, he had to borrow the card and just brought it back, and it was all just happening right then.
The lovely Ginger's in the house.
I am here.
The lovely Ginger. Yesterday I had to spend, I think it was my first Valentine away from the lovely Ginger. But I found in my luggage a long red hair.
There you go.
And I slept with it on the side of my pillow. I woke up in the morning and caressed it gently.
Don't be weird.
All right. Okay. So we got a big Capo Corner for you tonight. As you know, Dave Gunning and I have put a new record out called Leather and Dust. We just got it. It's ready to go. We're on tour promoting it. First show is this Sunday night here in Schenectady. So I wanted to just go over some of the dates that are coming up so that you'll know where we're coming to and when. So this Sunday, February the 19th, we are at the GE Theater at Proctor's in Schenectady, New York. And on February 23rd, we're at the Doghouse Studio in Napanee, Ontario. Napanee, Ontario, 23rd. On the 24th, we are at the Royal Canadian Legion Hall in Dundas, Ontario. February 24th. February 25th, we are at the Registry Theatre in Kitchener, Ontario. February 25th. February 27th, I'm doing a clinic for Boucher Guitars at String Guitar Shop in London. Took me a second. And my hometown. And the next night, February the 28th, we will be at the Aeolian Performing Arts Centre in London, Ontario, February 28th. And then March the 1st, we'll be in Meaford Hall in Meaford. March the 2nd, the Refined Brewing Company in Sarnia, Ontario. And then to end off this leg, before we go into the West, on March the 4th, we will be, this is going to be exciting, we're at the Irish Cultural Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, on March the 4th. So you can find information on all these dates, and there's many more after that I'll go into next week and beyond. On our website, Gunning and Cormier, A-N-D, gunningandcormier.com. That's where all the ticket links are. if you can't find a ticket link for a gig, contact the box office of the venue, and they will have tickets. So there's that. Now, the second part of Capo Corner is even more exciting. As you guys know by now, I travel to music shops everywhere I go. And I found a shop here just outside of Schenectady called Parkway Music. And I want to give a big thank you and shout out to those guys at Parkway. Met a young man named Alex there who helped me. I needed to put some new bridge pins in my Maestro guitar because they were getting chewed up a little bit, so I put some non-wood pickups in it, or bridge pins in it. And while I was there, I had discovered a guitar. There was 4 guitars hanging in their guitar shop room I looked at them and went, whoa, these are really, what are these? And they're called Cracket, Kraket, Cracket. And there was 4 of them there, and there was a dreadnought, there was a couple dreadnoughts and a couple OMs. I played all these guitars and was floored by these things. And I said to Alex, I said, what are these? And he said, well, George builds guitars. He's been building custom instruments for people for over 20 years. And we're the only shop that he puts stock in. All the rest of his orders are all custom and going out to customers immediately upon completion. So I got really curious, and I called this man, George Cracket. And he is one of the nicest men I've ever spoken to in the guitar world. Another gem. He's in his mid 60s. He's been building custom ordered guitars for over 20 years. He's made, I think he said 75 or 80 instruments. He builds about 6-7 a year. And we're having lunch tomorrow. And we're going to talk about him becoming a partner on the channel. Because I don't have a super small builder except for James Martin, who is the same type of shop in Ireland. And I think we need a representative in the U.S. of the super small, super specialized custom guitar builder. And this gentleman, I believe, is it. I played one of the OMs there. I just fell in love with it. A sunburst herringbone with a K&K already installed. Like, this guy knows what he's doing. He builds for performers. So here, do me a favor. He's already a fan. Like, he's been watching the channel now for 2 or 3 days, and he's calling me up. Man, I love this, I love that. Do me a favor. Go to his website tonight, and after this, georgecracket.com. Or just search Cracket Guitars, Kraket, and go on his site and just drop him an email and say hi. It'll freak him out. I want him to see just how many guitar heads there are, because there's a ton of us. And he's a super nice man. And I have a funny feeling he's going to be jumping on board with us. And if you want that unique experience of buying a custom ordered, hand built, no machinery, all done on a bench, nitro finished, all done by hand, you can see his fingerprints all over the guitar, like how handmade it really is. And they're really nicely made and sound unbelievable. This is the guy. So check him out. He's got some great pictures of some of the guitars he's recently built, and he's built for some big names too. So yet another builder that I've discovered over my travels that needs to be discovered by the greater guitar public. So check him out. I want him to see. I'm going to laugh. We're supposed to meet tomorrow morning at 11 at the shop and talk guitars, and he's going to take me out for lunch at the Irish pub. And I would laugh my ass off if I get over there tomorrow and he went, Jesus, 25 people wrote me last night. I got 30 emails this morning. What the hell's going on? Yeah, so I warned him. So help me out. Let's do it. Let's freak him out. Anyhow, so there you go. This is what's going on. I'm on the road, having a good time. I'm staying with Thomas and Nina, this beautiful people here at this Airbnb. He's a retired carpenter. She works for the VA. She told me a really cool story about how hometown battlefield has crossed her desk hundreds of times because the veterans she's serving hear it and tell her about it, and I was really moved and touched by that. And it's pretty cool. This trip has been very refreshing. It was a good string of dates for me by myself, and now my brother Dave's coming in Friday, flying into Boston. I'm gonna go pick him up, and we're off on, I think, is the biggest tour that we've ever done. It's huge. It's over 30 shows right across Canada and back, with a couple of good in the States for good measure. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Jake's going with us to play bass. This is exciting. It's going to be a cool run. So, end of Cable Corner. First Kirsten goes to
Jeff Gallant, highlighted chat.
Jeff Gallant.
Love you, brother. Can't wait for my fucking Doug Sampson shirt. Hope all is well, and hope you're having a fantastic tour, brother. Hope to see you soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to my effing Doug Sampson too as well. It's going to become a thing everywhere. It's going to be like it's going to be East Coast lifestyle all over again. Who is Doug Sampson? Effing Doug Sampson. Like, what was the other one? Fuck Pablo or whatever the hell it was. Like this. Yeah, it's going to be one of those. Oh, vote for Pablo. Yeah, well, that's going to be another one of those. We'll make Doug Sampson world famous, and he won't even know why. Next.
A question from Eli Patrick.
Eli Patrick, just talking about you today, buddy.
Hey, everybody. Do you prefer upright bass or electric bass? I'm more of an upright player, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
I'm an electric lover. I can't help it. It's cleaner. My favorite bass players in my favorite music were all electric players. John Stockfish, who played for Lightfoot, is my favorite electric bass player. Well, pretty well, he is my favorite of all time. It's what I modeled my own bass playing after was him. And then you've got people like Sting and Paul McCartney, are two of the greatest bass players ever lived, and then Jaco Pastorius, and so that instrument to me is the cat's ass. But upright, if you get there's only a few upright players that I hear and have heard that just blow my mind, and of course both of the Huskies, Roy Husky Sr. and Jr. I am so lucky that I got to record with Roy Husky Jr. many times and played with him many times. He was a friend of mine, and he died way young, stupid young. I think he was only 34 or 35 years old, of lung cancer, same thing his father died of, and just horrible. And then you've got guys like those two guys. There's nobody that's ever been as good as that, ever, for tone and play and just sheer chops. And then you've got guys like Mark Schatz, Todd Phillips, the bass player from Alex Krause's band. I don't remember his name right now, but that guy's a monster. But I find, I don't know, I love it. I use it. It's on my records. I have lots of upright on my records. And I think it should be used most of the time for bluegrass, just because it has a bigger, fatter pillow for all the smaller sounding instruments to sit on. It's like a beautiful trampoline for them to play on, right? But I don't know. I don't know. I have a preference, I suppose. If we're talking about me playing bass, I prefer playing electric. If it's just what do I put on a certain song, or would I rather have heard a certain instrument on a certain cut of somebody else's, it's 50-50. It's like, I've had Gunning has played upright bass on a lot of my records. Jamie Gaddy has played upright bass, who is the best upright bass player in Canada, in my opinion. He's a session guy out of Halifax. He works with the Baron McNeils a lot. He's actually been full-time with them for 25 years or something. But yeah, there's another upright bass player that's really underrated that nobody knows is Terry Poirier, Eddie Poirier's son. Terry has to be one of the best upright players in North America. He lives in Kentucky now, and he's been living there for years. And that guy, if I was gonna, there's a guy now that we're talking about this. Is the juices are flowing, right? If I was to hire an upright bass player today, it would be Terry Poirier. That's the guy that blows my mind of all the people who are living and available for work, right? So, which is another side of the coin is that great bass players are super hard to find because there are so few of them, and when they're that good, they get hired immediately. You can't get one, right? Most of the guys that I would hire, they're all working full time with the same band, or they're so busy in studios that they can't go on the road. So, yeah. So there you go. It's an interesting, good question actually. But yeah, I probably gave a broader answer than you expected, but that's my answer. Love you, Eli. Kerr Lurched.
Question from Caper Away.
Caper Away.
Where is JP selling his Amazon Bling guitar? Online or at a store?
I'm probably gonna give it to Glenn, and I'm gonna, if it's possible to do this, I'm gonna go back into the comments on the YouTube video and forensically find out with the date stamps, who was the first one to want to buy it, and that's the person that's gonna get offered first. I don't know who that is. If they turn,
it might be over into shipping depending on who they are.
Well, that's why I'm going to do it through Glenn, because Glenn can ship anywhere for a little cost. So what's going to happen is that person will be contacted, and I'll say the guitar's at Glenn's, and then I'll pass them off to Glenn, and Glenn will sell it. And I can tell you right now, I'm going to ask $800 for it because I paid $500 and I did $300 worth of setup, and there's and pickup in it. So it's going to be $800 Canadian. That's what we're gonna, and I'll throw a hard shell case in for free. And it's a good guitar. I don't need it. I've got so many like wicked killer dreadnoughts that I don't need it. So that's how it's gonna happen. That way I can be sure that whoever asks for it first actually gets the first crack at it. If they don't want to do that, I'll go to the next guy in the date line, right? So there you go. That's it. That's the guitar. Amazon. Next.
Okay. Super chat from Jim Waller.
Jim Waller. I saw Jim Waller at a gig 3-4 nights ago. I love that man. He gave us mugs, Ginger.
Oh, yeah?
He gave us giant Yeti mugs, like giant
nice.
ones. Yeah. Yeah, I love Jimmy. He's a good guy. And I met his wife. And she's a sweetheart, too. They're fantastic people. What do you say, Jimmy?
He says, one, thank you for playing Little Wawa on Saturday. My buddy who came to the Darlington show with Joan and I had no idea why I was crying. Must be a name for the condition I suffer from. I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, you suffer from being an arsehole like me. Next. Love you, Jimmy.
Question from Corey McCormick.
That's new.
I'm not sure.
Possibly. What are you saying, Corey?
JP, out of all your guitars, if you could choose one guitar, not your signature model, to tour with forever, what would it be and why?
It would be Boo Boo. I don't know why. I've said that a million times about that guitar. That of all the Bouchers I own, that one is the one. If there was a fire, that'd be the case I would grab. I don't know why, because there's more expensive ones in the batch. There's more fancy ones. There's more, but that guitar, there's something about that instrument, and I personally think it's just it symbolizes for me the relationship I have with Robin. That's why that guitar is so special. Because him telling me the story about, didn't want to sell it to me because he made a hole in the top, a dent, right? And looking at me and going, I made a boo-boo. And I'll just never forget that moment. And I was like, I don't care. I said, that's why I want the guitar, because your mark is on it. And so that's why I think, and besides that, it's just an unbelievably good guitar. That guitar is fucking ridiculous. It's just one of the best guitars I've ever seen, heard, played. It's a monstrous instrument, that thing. It just never stops. Just keeps giving, 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 giving. It travels well. I've never had a single problem with it. It's pure Robin all the way through. So yes, that'd be my desert island guitar. Okay, next.
Super chat from Stephen Baker,
Stephen Becker.
the savior of the website.
Yes, and the brother of my life. I love Stevie.
Since there's a guitar workshop coming up, can you talk about what to expect for those who haven't been there before, like me?
My guitar workshops are very unorthodox because I set the tone of the workshop by the level of ability in the room. So I play to the weakest link. So if there's somebody in the room that literally is just learning how to hold a pick, that's where I start. Because there's a reason for that. There's a method to my madness. I found out over the years of teaching and from running the online school that it doesn't matter how good you are. You need to be told. You need to be told to brush up on the basic things of playing, and everyone's guilty of it. You play for so long, and you forget this. You slip into a bad habit with the right hand, or you use the wrong kind of picks for what you're doing, and you're not thinking about it. Oh, if I use a different pick, this will be easier. Or some part of your technique slips, and you just keep playing that way, and it makes things difficult, and you don't know why, because you're so used to doing it that way. It's like, oh shit, well, I don't know, I can't progress. The reason you can't progress is because you've slipped somewhere in the technique, and if you go back and fix that, then you can go right on ahead. And that's why I start at the worst player in the room. Whoever is the worst player, the earliest, the lowest level beginner, whoever that is, that's who I start with, and I tailor the workshop to them. I ignore the other people. That's who I'm talking to, and all the other guitar players go, "Whoa, I never thought of that. That's something I used to do, and now I don't." Or I never knew that's how I could do that, and it changes everybody's perspective in the room, because I've always said, and I've always said that the worst guitar player in the room can teach everybody in the room something. And that's true. It doesn't matter what level of player that you encounter, they know something you don't know. And it's a fact. I've seen it happen a million times. It's happened to me a million times. I've run into people teaching people, and they do something. I go, wait a minute, what was that? Oh, I don't know, just fooling around and the thing, and you learn something from them because they're exploring everything, trying to get better, right? So yeah, it's that's what it's like. My workshops are technique based. I don't teach people tunes because that's useless. Anybody can do that. I teach people how to go home and teach themselves how to play tunes. That's the idea. You don't get a songbook from me, you get a toolbox. That's what I give you. So yeah.
When is this workshop?
In May when we go to Oklahoma.
Oh. Very good.
You should see the face it just made. It was a good one. I bet you I can't do that again. I made the best face, and I just cracked myself up. I don't even know what it was. It was really funny. I'm going to have to watch this video after just to see it again. Corona. Next. I mean.
There are any questions.
What?
Like talking. I can't. Somebody ask a question. Oh, here we go. Ah, here they come. Okay. We got a super chat from Blair Swenson.
Blair, how you doing, buddy?
How influential is the cage system on your soloing?
I don't even know what it is.
Alrighty. So not so much.
I suspect what it is, but it's probably something that's existed for 100 years. It just put under another name. So I don't know I don't know technically what it even is. I suspect what it is from the name of it, and all it is shape playing, right? Which is all I do. It's all any guitar player does, is think of music in shapes that move, that you work out of as long as you can in a passage before you move your hand laterally. And I suspect that's what cage thing is. It's just a new name for an old tool. So I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't know shit about cage, whatever. Only thing I ever had in a cage was a fucking gerbil. Let's have another Corona.
Why not?
Next.
Super chat from Larry Reinders.
Larry Reinders.
I know now why you love your Bouchers. They are the ultimate guitar. Makes me play better. How about you?
Obviously, that's the whole secret. That's what they do. Their motto is inspiration included, and that's the God's honest truth. If that can't make you pick up a guitar every 10 minutes, I don't know what can. So yeah, agreed. Thanks, Larry. Love you, buddy. Next.
Super chat from Edward Bernato.
How you doing, Edward?
What makes for a guitar with perfect intonation like your LL56?
Well, it's the builder. It's all mathematics. So that's it. It has nothing to do with it doesn't have anything to do with materials or any of that stuff. It's all math. So if the builder is a mathematical purist and knows exactly how to set up the nut and saddle so that the intonation is absolutely perfect and the neck angle is absolutely perfect and the distance between the fingerboard tail and the bridge or the saddle or the bridge is absolutely perfect, your intonation is going to be perfect. And that's only really achievable by hand. Any guitar that's done like Martins and Gibsons and Taylors and stuff, they put a lot of this stuff through machinery that does it, that measures it and cuts everything and it's close, but it's not perfect. The only perfection in intonation is done by a luthier with his mathematical formulas and his eyes and his tools. It's the only way you can really get it, because it has to be, the variables are so humongous, like where the string leaves off the nut and where it touches the bridge, and where those things are in relation to the whole instrument. That's a huge piece of mathematics that luthiers are the only ones that really have the chops to even understand it, right? It can be programmed into a computer, but it doesn't mean that the end product is going to be the mathematical formula you put in the computer, right? So yeah, that's how it's done. Really fucking good guitar builders. That's how it's done. Next.
We have a super chat from Dan Bloomberg.
Dan, how you doing, buddy?
He sent a little animated rage quit. It looks like a cologne bottle. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what is this?
He wants to know when you're coming to LA.
I hope soon. I'm thinking we might be going back to NAMM next year in January, either with Boucher or Maestro or something. I'm probably going to be there, so that'll put me in Anaheim. I'm not that far away from you. And if there's anybody out there knows gigs around the LA area, I'll play in LA. I've never been there. I'd be scared shitless, but I'll go there. Next.
Super chat from Corey McCormick.
Yes.
It's actually his first super chat.
Sweet. Thank you, Corey.
It's a Balloon is one. Sending a few bucks to say thank you for introducing me to Boucher. My SG52M is my forever guitar, and it's changed my perspective on acoustics. Cheers.
Good to hear. That's what happens to everybody that buys a Boucher. I don't think I've ever heard anything different than that. Everybody that buys one of Robin's guitars are just like, well, my life just got changed. Because it really does. It makes you want to play. And that's the whole point. So good on you, Corey. Thanks for the chat, buddy. Turn next.
Super chat from Jamie Reed.
Jamie, how you doing, buddy?
When you coming back to Scotland? Be good to see you.
I don't know. I'm due for a trip, ain't I? I'm missing it over there. I love Scotland. It's my favorite place in the whole world. So hopefully sooner than later, buddy. Absolutely. Next.
Super chat from Matt Manning.
Matt, how you doing, buddy?
Hey JP, what are your thoughts on Yamaha acquiring Guild? Thoughts on Guild in general?
Yamaha bought Guild? Holy shit.
That's game plan, yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Well, that means that Guild's quality is going to go through the roof. That's what that means, which is a welcome thing because Guild has not been in good shape for the last 25 years, and they need to be. Guild once made, one of the best guitars on the planet, and they went bankrupt, and they did this, and they did that, and they got bought by this guy and that guy, and now they're mostly built overseas, and I don't know. They lost their way because they're just trying to save the brand, which is what they should have done. So if Yamaha's acquired them, that means their quality is going to go sky high. So, which is awesome because I love Guild. I'd like to have a Guild. I just can't find one that's worth buying right now. I just can't. They're not very good. I wish they were. They're just not. They're not as good as they were when I've owned high-end Guilds. I've owned a D55. It was one of the nicest guitars I ever owned. However, it was right at the cusp of when they started to shit the bed, and the guitar developed a terrible hump in the fingerboard over the body, which is you can't fix that. You'd have to plane out the whole fingerboard or do a neck reset. And this was a brand new $6,000 guitar. So I sold it. And I've pined for a Guild ever since. I will still, if Yamaha puts their quality control concepts into place on Guild, you're going to see something big. Guild's going to come back with a vengeance, and I wish they would. So yeah, good on you. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Next.
We have a question from Glenn Legg.
Glenn Legg.
Good to see you, JP. I have a question about pickups. I know you like K&K pickups. Would you replace a Piezo with K&K? I have a Yamaha APX, and the pickup keeps muffling my low E string.
I would an APX doesn't have the body size to take advantage of a K&K. Because K&K really pushes the body of the guitar, and an APX is a slimline guitar. So what I would do is take the guitar to a Yamaha dealer and have them either replace the UST or reseat it, and make sure that you might not even want to take it to a Yamaha dealer. Take it to any good guitar tech that can remove the saddle and find out if the slot in the bridge is perfect. If it's not, that can be fixed. It can be routed out completely flat. The piezo put back in, saddle goes back in. The saddle needs to be perfect as well. On the Apex line, they're factory-made guitar, so they're not perfection installs. So there could be a problem with that, and that would be the problem, that there's an imperfection in the slot or the bottom of the saddle, and that's something you take to any tech anybody you trust to install an undersaddle transducer, that's the guy you take it to. And he can take it apart and look at it, because their electronics themselves are fantastic. Yamaha makes really good UST stuff, and their preamps are nice. The APX preamps are beautiful. So it's probably the way where the pickup is seated. So I would just take it to anybody who knows how to look at that stuff and perfect your installation. That's probably what's wrong. Putting a sensor pickup in an APX body really wouldn't. I can't see it working, because there's not enough body there to actually drive the K&K sensors, right? K&K picks up the entire body of the guitar, and the APX is so small that it probably wouldn't sound very good. It would just be very thin, and yeah, I would stick with the Yamaha electronics and just make sure they're in there right. So, try next.
A question from Rex-O-Matic. Have you tried Rain Song recently? Just got a WS-1000. That really surprised me. Great look, feel, and tone.
I don't like Rain Song. I never have, and the reason is completely personal. It's you can't adjust the neck on those guitars. At least you couldn't when I played them last. They had no truss system, and the saddle is graphite. You can't really adjust that. It's in some, if I'm not mistaken, sometimes I think they were making the saddle part of the bridge as well. I'm not sure about that, but there was times when I picked those guitars up and I went, the action on this guitar sucks. So how do I fix that if I want to buy this? Because it's a pretty cool concept. They do sound pretty good, but I couldn't play them. The action was like that on the 12th fret, and I just can't get along with that. So, and I had no way to adjust it with the truss system, and the saddle didn't look adjustable, so I've never bought one, and I just don't endorse them. They're just not. They're not for me. They might be great for somebody who's playing straight rhythm, wants a big sound in a guitar that's completely indestructible. That's great. But for me, there's better carbon instruments out there, like Close, who builds their guitars the same way, except they're completely collapsible, and they set them up for like the best action you've ever had on a guitar is on a Close. They're just incredible. So if Rain Song started to do that, like really set guitars up for people who are doing intricate things on them, I'd buy one in a heartbeat. That's the other problem too, is they're so effing expensive. It's unbelievable how expensive those guitars are, and they're worth it, I suppose. I mean, it's a major technology to build a guitar that doesn't sound like a rain bucket, when it's made out of composite material. So even to be able to do that is a feather in their cap.
Apparently, the new models have truss rods.
Well, then that would be a game changer for me. If I saw a Rain Song that had a truss rod that actually worked and did, worked like a Yamaha does. A Yamaha that changes the entire angle of the neck. You can set your action anywhere you want it on a Yamaha. And if that was the case, I'd give it a shot. But I still say, from the ones that I've played, Close guitars sound way better. I'm sorry, but they do. I don't know why that is. It's just they sound better. They're not as ornate and fancy as a Rain Song, but they sound better. So I don't know. It's hard to say. But if you got a good one, go with it, because they are nice. There's no question about it. So Cormier.
We have another first super chat from Frank Lombardo.
How you doing?
What's the first? There's no question, just super chat. Thank you, Frank.
All right, Frank.
The super chat code. We have a first super chat from Ryuji Gana. Hi JP, bought a Yari FYM 60 HD based on your guitar review. This is the best guitar I've ever owned. Thank you for the great content.
Yeah, it's one of the best I've ever owned too. That those things are absolutely ridiculous, ridiculous. And there's big things happening with me and Yari this year too. So keep your ears to the ground, your eyes open, because there is some more really cool stuff going to happen with me and Yari. They make some fantastic guitars. They're world class, world class. There's nobody. There's only a select group of builders in the world that are at that level. And I talk about them all the time. And boy, that guitar, I should mention that instrument is so rare now because Yari has actually gotten down to their last 30 sets of that Honduran mahogany, and they're not gonna. It's out of production. So the only way to get a set of that 50-year-old Honduran mahogany now is to order a custom build from them. That's the only way you can get it. It's no longer in production. It's not going to go to any more stores. So, and I think they only managed to get 300 guitars out of it. And so, yeah, it's huge. Like that, to even own that guitar, don't ever sell that thing. It'll be worth thousands of dollars, 30 years from now. So, yeah, good on you. Love Yari. Thanks to Alvarez and St. Louis Music and Chris Meikle. Here they are. Cheers, boys. Next.
Super chat from Jim Waller.
Jimmy.
The rain song neck is super thin for my hands. I'm playing one now that's a loner, but it's a third slimmer than my Taylor neck. It feels weird.
Wow. I never noticed that. I'll have to. You don't see them very often either. They're hard to find, so I'll look around for one. I'm going to go play. I'm doing a clinic at Stang Guitars in Edmonton for Boucher later on in this tour. And I'm pretty sure they carry Rain Song. I will check one out. I'll find one somewhere on the road this trip and try it. I'll let you all know. Kerr Nerkst.
A question from Caper Rob.
Caper Rob.
Any tips on how to get out of a winter rut and get back into playing?
Jesus. I don't know. Buy a new guitar.
It's expensive.
Well, it's true. Go if you have a guitar that's not like a collector's item or worth $1 million. Go trade it on something new that you really like. That'll get you motivated. Oh, I gotta get going. I gotta play. Like the best. Oftentimes, the way to get motivated to play is to just go back and practice stuff and do it slowly and carefully, and you start to realize a lot of times that it's like, oh, I'm doing this wrong, or there's a lick I'm missing, and I've been missing it all the time. Like, go back and research what you learned, and go back over it and perfect it, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I might have just picked up a couple of new tools. So how about I learn this thing, right? Like, that's how you do it. You can't just, you can never sit on your laurels as a guitar player and go, oh, that's it. I know what I know and I know what I know, because you never know what you know. I've been playing the same music, a lot of the same music for 50 years, and I am still learning it. I still have to go back and go, like tunes like The Claw and Bluefinger and all that old stuff. It's like I have to go back and go, oh yeah, I forgot it. There's this wicked lick. I forgot about this, and you put it back in the tune, and you reteach yourself, certain aspects of tunes, or you go back and research players that you don't listen to anymore, or you know what I mean. Like, you can't just sit dormant and think you got it made, because you'll never have it made. No guitar player ever has it made. You have to go back and question yourself on a daily basis. Am I doing this right? Is there a way better way to do this? Am I doing it like the guy I emulated? Is that really how he did this? And with the magic of YouTube, chances are you can go see him do it. That's the beauty. People my age, we didn't have this when we learned. Anybody who's over 40 didn't have YouTube, didn't have internet. We had to do it the old-fashioned way with these things, right?
Uphill
And
both ways in your pajamas?
what's that?
Uphill both ways in your pajamas?
Pretty much, yeah. Now you're with me. Smart ass Ginger. Anyhow, get off your fucking ass and start practicing. Next.
A super chat from Adam Dunn.
Adam, how you doing, buddy?
I just also want to say thanks for turning me on to Boucher. My SG52V blew me away. Then I got an SG1241E. Guillaume told me it'd be magical, and he was right. Any plans to tour in Texas?
None yet, but I'd love to come.
Were you in Texas recently?
No, Tucson, Arizona.
Arizona,
Yeah.
right.
I'd love to play in Texas. I've been told by Texans that if I ever came to Texas, I'd never leave there. There's enough gigs in the state of Texas that you never have to leave the state. There's that many venues. And I believe it. Like, there's tremendous amount of musicians in Texas. It's ridiculous. And it's everything from bluegrass to jazz to honky-tonk to country to whatever. So yeah, I'd love to come to Texas. Anybody wants to hire me? I'm a cheap guitar player. I'll come in there and I'll cheap the shit out of that place.
Way to sell yourself.
$100 and I'm yours.
$100.
Connect.
Oh dear. Question from Roy Dempsey.
That's new.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Roy, how you doing, buddy?
Suzuki 3, what's your thoughts?
Suzuki 3. I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
Is it a guitar? Is it a band?
Is it for people? I don't know.
Is it a group of irate Chinese people that hit you with wontons? I don't know.
Jesus.
Suzuki 3. I don't know what that is. I mean, I know Suzuki makes guitars. I own one. It was my first decent guitar when I was like 13. It was the first guitar I ever had that I could tune. Well, other than that, I'm not sure what that is. So, connect.
Oh, Stephen Baker says it's a motorcycle?
A motorcycle. Well, fat fucking chance of me knowing anything about that. I can tell you that right now.
T-Bone says they're balloon makers? I don't know. I think they're all lying to us.
Connect.
I'm not sure what's happening.
Crazy bastards.
A question from James M.
James M. Back again.
He's one of your Master Music Method students.
Thank you, sir.
He has a pick angle question. Hi, JP. I'm working on guitar lesson 2. In the lesson, you talked about pick angle when practicing scales to learn picking. Can you talk about the angle for a bit, please?
So the angle is easy. So this is your pick. This is the string. And that's the headstock up there. Your sound hole's right here. And the string sitting here. The pick hits the string, right? It has to go through it. All the surface of the pick has to go through that string. Slows you down, right? So the way you get around that is you turn the pick this way. So you go down over the edge of it this way and up through this edge. That's how it works. So that means turning your hand just like that. Like almost imperceptibly turning the pick towards the floor, the front end towards the floor. And that's how it's done. If you keep the pick perpendicular right into the strings flat, all this kinetic energy is wasted because you're dragging the entire surface across that string. And if you turn it, you're just dragging the edge across, which is 3 times faster. Same way coming back up. It's flat, and then the whole thing, right? So you turn it. And that's how you get speed, tone, clarity, all the things come from that. So there you go. Hope that helped you. Good thing I had my phone to demonstrate, because
Don't you have a pig in your pocket?
I wanted it to be big.
I suppose.
I want it to be large to show the actual way it looks. That's what it looks like. If you closed up on it with a microscope, it'd be like bleh, bleh, as opposed to zing, zing. See how it does? Zing, zing. That's what it's supposed to be. Zing, zing, no blah, blah, blah. I have the terminology. I'm the man.
Something.
I'm full of shit. But I'm not full of shit about that. That's the truth. I wouldn't steer you wrong. Next.
CFS has a question about adjusting the action with the truss rod. How much can you adjust the action with the truss rod?
Violently. You can put the strings right on the frets. But of course you don't want to do that. You want to, and all kinds of people will tell you, don't adjust your action with the truss. But that's the way it should be done. You don't have to put, because what they'll tell you is you have to adjust the saddle. That's permanent. You can't fix that if your action's too high and you shave off the bottom of the saddle. That's it. You can't put that back if the guitar changes, right? So the truss, all the truss does is it's the old truss systems used to make the neck do this in the middle at the 7th fret, right? But now what they do, if this is the body over here, they make the whole neck do this or that. They don't put a bow in it. They still do a bit because a neck needs relief, right? But good two-way truss systems will do the bow and shift the angle of the neck slightly, right? Like that's.
But it's not necessarily uniform across the neck, is it? It can't
It's
be
not
from
supposed
one
to be.
pivot point.
It's not supposed to be. There's supposed to be a dip in the middle. That's natural. That's supposed to be there. So if you tighten a truss rod too tight, it takes all the bow out of it and then pulls the neck way back. You don't want that. So that's why you never adjust a truss rod more than a quarter turn. That's it. It's all it takes. If the action's high, you tighten it, righty-tighty. Just a quarter turn, and then you stop, because it takes a few minutes for it to happen. And then you check it. Is it still playing? Is there any buzzing? No? Okay, tighten some more. Another quarter turn. And you get it, because it's immediate, and it's reversible, right? Same thing if things are too low. You loosen it, and the strings will come up. And the relief will come up, hard relief. And the guitar is supposed to be designed to accept that relief or lack of relief and keep perfect intonation. That's how guitars are supposed to be designed. And most of them are. So there you go. Unless the only way you should ever start fucking around with your saddle, your nut, is if the truss has no chance of fixing the problem. If your strings are literally, a half an inch off the 12th fret, there's no truss that's ever going to fix that. So you have to sand the saddle down low enough to where the truss will actually do something, right? So it's a balance. You got to look at it. If you don't know what you're looking for, take it to somebody, because you don't want to fog your saddle down too much. And but you can take it out and file it to sand it down, but make sure you only sand down minuscule amounts, because just the width of a Sharpie mark across the bottom of a saddle, when you put that thing back in, that is a massive drop in that height. Just the width of a Sharpie tip is a huge drop at the saddle height, right? So you got to be careful. Just be careful and do it in increments that are that small. And keep putting it back in, tune it up. Is it better? No. Is it buzzing? No. Down some more. Do it again. Okay, now it's getting better. And when it starts to be where you want it, then you tighten the truss a little. And then you should be fine. You should have good action with no buzzing. And myself, I actually could care less about buzzing unless it's rampant and it's on every note, on every string. But if I am hitting shit really hard up the neck, I don't care if it buzzes. It's supposed to. I'm hitting it so hard, I'm making it buzz, right? But if you're just playing straight, playing normal, you should be able to get whatever you want without any fret noise. So it's a careful balance because everyone plays differently. Everybody uses different gauge picks. Some people use fingerstyle. Some people are using flat picks. Somebody using fingerstyle with no picks or with thumb and two, plastic nail replacements or like whatever. There's a million different combinations that can lead to you preferring a certain action height and a certain playability. My playability is super low because I would rather have a fast neck with a few buzzes in it, right, than a high action with no buzzes and then not be able to do the things I do with ease. I don't care if it's a little noisy. I want it to be easy because it's fast. The things I do are fast and tricky and crazy, right, for the most part. So I sacrifice a big, clean, buzzless thing for the ability to do what I do. I need a comfortable action and neck. I make the trade-off. And that's what every guitar player does. So, next.
Super chat from Frank Lombardo.
Frank Lombardo.
Long-time watcher of String Theory from the beginning. What do you think of Paul McCartney as an acoustic player? I grew up learning from him.
I love him. That's why I didn't buy it. Gibson gave me my Texan. And I love it because it reminds me of Paul and all the guitar playing he's done over the years that sometimes people don't even realize he did, Played the guitar on Yesterday. He played the guitar on Jenny Wren. He played the guitar on, there's so many things that he did with that old Epiphone guitar. Man, he's a great player. And he plays a very unique style. It's a fingerstyle. He tunes low, often a tone low, and he gets a lot of flop and flap and tone. And I just love his guitar playing. It's very inventive. It's not like anybody else. So yeah, here's the Paul. Love the Beatles. Next.
Super chat from Stephen Baker.
Stephen Becker.
Nice shirt. Glad to see you dressed up for the show.
Yeah, kiss me arse. I'll have you know this is a Carhartt special. Not only that, but I showered and everything. Like I'm clean. I got brand new everything on. I cleaned under my nails. I washed my. Okay, never mind. Next.
I think that's it.
All right. Well, there you go, boys and girls. That's another episode of String Theory. And don't forget to go see George Crackett. GeorgeCrackett.com. Go check him out. And just shoot him an email. Tell him I said hello. Just tell him you said hello. Tell him you saw him on here. He'll just love that. He's in his mid-60s. He's been building for the last quarter of his life here, and he's a great guitar builder, and I really like him. He's a real cool dude. I'm going to meet him tomorrow for the first time and on the phone with him. And don't forget to go see Gunning and I. And Crawdad, I will not be in Knoxville. I will be in Nashville and Murfreesboro at the end of May. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be at the Gallagher Guitar Workshop for the Gallagher birthday performing. So that's going to be cool. A lot of guitar players there that day. So don't forget to come see me and David on tour. Jake Lozon's with us playing bass and being his usual effervescent self. And me too. Anyhow, thank you to the lovely Ginger. Love you, Ginger.
Okay.
I'm not going to see us in. I can't say that. I really miss her. This has been my wife for weeks. It's hard. My wife lives on the phone. Anyhow, love you guys. Thank you. I don't know what else to say. We'll see you next Wednesday. We'll be in Kingston, Ontario next Wednesday. Dave and Jake will be with me on the show, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So be sure and catch us. I'm not sure when the next string theory will be after that, because we're going to be just straight out crazy for the next month after that. So, but keep an eye out. There's more videos coming. I'm going to put more guitar stuff with John's out. On my days off, I'm going to film those, and Ginger's going to put them up one a week at least. And thanks everybody for watching the Amazon guitar video is doing crazy good. I'm not sure why, but maybe just people were fascinated by that. It is pretty cool. So I don't know. What are you gonna do? All right, boys and girls, we love you, and we will see you next week on string theory, guitar.